just ran a mile. This is my second time recording this video, and I hope we can get it right this time. I was kind of all over the place and saying a lot of the same points over and over. So, we're going to be talking about preparing for your military life. The majority of this video, I'm going to be talking about preparing for basic training or boot camp. It's named differently, whatever, depending on whatever branch of the military you're going into. But that's what we're going to be talking about today. So, one thing that I'm doing that I think will help a lot of people out, especially you who's watching this, who's probably going into basic training or boot camp soon or is wanting to enlist, is preparing and researching basically what you're going to be doing in your military life and basic training and whatnot. When I kind of made the commitment in my head that I was going to enlist into the military, particularly the Army, which is what I'm doing, I started researching all of the time. Every day I'd probably spend a total of 15 minutes researching and looking up things. How is basic training going to be? What's the PX like, which is the shop, the little shop you go to there. What's it like to make your bed, your bunks? What's it like to do the hospital corner? How long is basic? What's the ACFT like? All these sorts of things. I don't want to say it's factual, but I think that some people say that basic or boot camp or whatever is worse than it is because they didn't adequately prepare for it. Now, you can't prepare fully for the military, no matter how many documentaries you watch, no matter how many stories you get from people. It is visceral and totally different when you experience it than when you're just reading about it and whatnot. So I've started running a lot. I'm doing a lot of cardio now to prepare for the cardio side of basic. So when I go through it, it's not as bad, hopefully. And that's what I recommend. So my recommendations are you start working on your cardio if you haven't already. You start working out. If you can, wake up earlier. If your work schedule or don't deprive yourself of sleep, but if you can, wake up 5, 6 in the morning if that's possible, of course, while getting a good amount of sleep. Now, some people, I don't know if everyone can prepare for it. Some people go through the enlistment process really quick and they ship off. Sometimes it's a spur of the moment decision and they get to basic relatively quickly. But the majority of the time, you're going to have a month or two of waiting for MEPS to get back with you, doing paperwork and stuff. It's just a whole lot of waiting. The military seems to be like it's just a whole lot of waiting. So you should have time to prep. Start working out more. Cardio, strength training. Maybe put on a little bit of muscle if you want. Work on your endurance. Buy some flat sheets for your bed at home. Start learning how to make the hospital corners, the military corners, that 45-degree angle on those sheets. So, they may have you do it a little bit differently, but at least you know how to do it. Start showering quicker. Still be hygienic, but take, once every week and a half, 2 weeks, take a 2-minute shower how they want you, or take a 2 or 3 minute shower. Work on the hot spots, your elbows, your underarms, back of your neck, things like that. Again, you can prep a whole lot. There's a lot that you can do to prep. Look at documentaries, go on YouTube and watch raw footage of soldiers going through basic training. Learn the different phases of basic training, what you're going to be doing in those phases. Learn kind of the culture and the feel of basic and how it's going to feel to be around so many people and how it's going to feel to go to the DFAC and what it's like to eat, what the food's like, what what it's like going there. Learn as much as you can. What the drill sergeants are like. The more you prep, the better, because you're setting yourself up to, it's not going to be as bad or as traumatizing than if you were just pressured by your family or just thrown in there. So you know what to expect, so your stress levels are hopefully lower, and you're working on a lot of those aspects. Even if you can, if there's a firearm range near you and you're of age, which if you're enlisting in the military, you should be, practice with a rifle, hitting target. It's not going to be the same, but get familiar with what it's like to use a firearm or an AR. Get yourself surrounded in that environment. Learn the soldier's creed if you're going to the Army. Memorize it ahead of time. That is such an easy thing that you can do. Look at it for 5 minutes a day and eventually you'll memorize it in like 2-3 weeks, maybe even 2 weeks. Look up the Blue Book. If there's a copy of the Blue Book, a big book you get to read, I think it's during MEPS. find, even if it's an old copy, to read it so you know what to expect there. Research what MEPS is like. Research what it's like to talk to a recruiter. There were some things I didn't know too about, I'm not going off topic, but just preparing. Something that I learned and some advice that I can give you is that I didn't know that recruiters will drive you to MEPS, and you'll carpool with a bunch of people sometimes. I was squished in the back of this little, it was a Ford Focus with one of the recruiters, and they drove us down to MEPS to do a PICAT verification. I was squished in the back of a tiny little Ford Focus with two other dudes. It was kind of uncomfortable, but at least it was getting me used to being around sweaty, nasty people all the time. But I didn't know that. That's one thing that you look up what recruiting station's like, what everything's like. They'll drive you around. I didn't know that. It surprised me. I was getting ready to go in my car, and he's like, yeah, you're going to get taken to MEPS. I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. So it helps to research. If you can mimic what it's going to be like, start doing laundry if you haven't done laundry. Try and mimic what it's going to be like to be in basic and to work under high stress, to work out, to push yourself, work on those things. Learn basically if you can, the small facets and the small little details that accompany basic training or your military life. Look up what the ASVAB is. That's going to determine what jobs you get in the military depending on your score. So do well enough, study for the ASVAB. Do well enough on it so you can get a good choice of jobs. Yeah, I promise you, one of you is not going to want to be stuck as a tank crew member or infantry or artillery. Depending on how well you do on the ASVAB, you get to pick some pretty cool jobs. Study. It's rewarding to prepare for military life. It's beneficial to prepare for what basic training is going to be like. Now, I haven't been through it, so all of this advice I'm giving you is just advice that I've been given from other people. It's advice that has been passed down. But I do think all of that helps. People have said, go on a ruck, go on like little makeshift rucks, put some books, some heavy books or something in a backpack, go walk for 8-10 miles, speed walking. It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to replicate it perfect. And the things that you do to practice for basic in the military life are not going to be perfect, but you can get ahead of the game and not have as rough of a time. See ya.